So then I went independent with it, and it was the best choice I could have made because I can offer more than just one source, to our clients, and make sure that they're happy no matter what happens. And you have to have it. So I'm a person that believes in what's always going to be there, and insurance is always going to be there. It's just how you do it different than others, and how you retain, how you keep people happy.
Welcome to the J Wells CFO Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Wells, and with me today is my guest, Luis Aleman. Luis has got a lot of different things going on, but he seems to have a hold of what's going on. So I wanted to bring him on and tell him about how he's managing multiple businesses, multiple teams at the same time. So Luis, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about these things you got going on and how you're helping people.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, I appreciate you having me with on the call. And one of the main businesses that we do is we actually own an insurance agency. And we're in a multiple different states. We're in Georgia, Texas, Florida as well. We also run a marketing agency that helps loan officers and realtors generate their own leads as well. And we also have a CRM system that we have that helps with the managing of those leads. And we also have a security alarm system that gives realtors an ability to give a thank you to their customers by giving them 6 months for free and so forth. So, we try to help the community as much as we can, but we also help our business partners all together.
So what was the sequence here? I mean, did you start all four of these at the same time, or how did you go from one of these businesses into the next one?
Yeah, the insurance agency was the first, and that was that's the main company that a lot of things happen with. Then came in the marketing agency, and I was the type of person that I was getting referrals from our referral partners, like our mortgage brokers and our real estate agents. But, we weren't really giving anything back other than just great service. And in this community, or in this time of life now, it's like, what can you do for me as well? So I started a marketing agency that we actually do the marketing for our referral partners at no cost. And if they do want to pay, they can go ahead and pay for it as well. But the marketing agency came second, and we were able to develop leads for those referral partners. And then after that came the CRM system to kind of put everything together to see how we can actually get the closing ratios higher for our referral partners. And then the alarm system just kind of came to us that the company said, hey, we're going to give you 6 months for free if you sign up with us, this and that, for their clients. And that's just pretty much saying thank you. So it kind of all revolves around the world of, insurance, home buying, and, taking care of your client, which is the end game.
It's really interesting because two things out of that stuck out to me, because at one point you said, what can you do for me? Right? Like, what have you done for me? What am I getting out of this? And I think that a lot of small business owners, especially down here in the South, right, where everybody is polite, everybody's nice to each other, it's really difficult to kind of frame doing business in those terms. It's really difficult, at least explicitly, right? When you're sitting down with the client or with the customer, it's hard to make those asks. It's hard to say, okay, I need to take care of me and my people for, I need to do that. But then at the same time, you said a lot of how you transition from one business to the other one was to find a way to add more value, right?
Yes.
To say thank you to the people that you're working with. And so it's interesting that you found a way to answer both of those questions almost at the same time, right? Like a way for you to get more out of your business for yourself and, for the people you're taking care of, but then at the same time, deliver more value to your clients and customers.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's tough in business to make that connection, right? To see that, by doing more by expecting more out of the relationship with your customers and clients, you can actually start bringing them more. I try to do that in my practice as well. There are a lot of accountants out there that are happy to just do your tax return, for example, right? But to me, that's a one-time kind of event. It's 2 weeks in April. I get it done. We don't think about each other for another year. But to me, that doesn't foster a relationship. That's not helping you throughout the year, right? That's not
exactly
value to you for me. So what are you doing as far as, connecting these dots with the marketing, with the CRM? What are you actually doing to bring more value to those clients? Like, how is that helping them do their business better? What are they getting out of that?
What they're getting out of it is the time spent behind marketing. And time is money when you're a business owner and an entrepreneur. If you're spending an hour doing something that you shouldn't be doing because it's not your profession, then you're taking that hour away from your day to day. And it's very important for realtors, loan officers, anybody that's doing marketing that if they're not a marketer, they don't know what they're doing. They're just testing and trial. They're spending money for nothing. And they're spending their time as well as their money. And again, putting those together, if you're spending $100 to test something, but then in reality you're spending an hour, what do you make on an hourly basis? So that has a lot to do with it as well. And when we came into it, it was more of like you are able to scale your business or grow your business. We want to be there for you as well, because we're growing a business all together as well. But at the same time, if we can help you grow your business, it just comes back and forth, and that's the biggest thing. But essentially it was all based on time, and people were always complaining about these leads are too expensive here. We're spending money over here and we don't know what we're doing. It's just, they're just going back and forth on it. And, once we came into the picture, it was like, oh my gosh, so you handle everything? Yeah, we'll handle all the back end spend, all the back end design, all that good stuff, because it comes easy for us. We already know what we're doing. Therefore, it helps them for future prospecting, building pipelines, and so forth. They're worried about their business, and that's that was our main focus: is how can we all grow together.
That's a big trend. It's something that I try to push with, owners that I talk to, as well as spending less time working in your business and more time working on your business, right?
Mhm.
Developing those processes, developing those workflows so that you can outsource those things, whether you're bringing people, you're hiring people, you're building your team, or whether you're
Right.
finding an outsource solution or a software solution, right? But
Hmm.
getting that just menial, day-to-day, low value, repetitive work off of your plate so that you can
Right.
focus on the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. So you were telling me that you have built some teams up for some of this work, that
Mhm.
you're doing good work with this team. How did that process start? When did you decide I need some help with this, and what did that process look like?
For the insurance agency, it was, when you're starting a business, you are the engineer pretty much. You're the person that, all together knows exactly how to run the business and the ins and outs of it. So once you perfect it, you bring another person that you can teach a certain traits. You don't want to teach that person to do everything, because you have to be able to fall on people. So if, like the insurance business, in our office, if you're good at auto insurance, you're going to do the auto insurance piece. If you're good at home insurance, you're going to do that piece. If you're good at the service work, you'll do that piece. You don't want to put everything together because people get overwhelmed. And so when I was able to build that piece up for the insurance agency, that's exactly the same model that I went for the CRM system, for the marketing agency, and for the security alarm system. It was more of, I need to find people that are good at that piece of it. And if I'm good at it, let me teach you how to do it. And it kind of evolved to where it's at now. You don't want to do everything, like you were saying, you don't want to work at your business, like not like at, like the day-to-day stuff. You want to
Right.
oversee everything. And that's exactly what I did with every single business that we're going into, is that, you perfect it in the beginning and then find the pieces of that puzzle that we'd be able to do exactly what you do, except, you're just looking at it.
Awesome. Awesome. So how has it been? Have you had any challenges finding people to fill those roles?
Oh,
A
for
lot of
sure.
business,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of business
Yeah.
owners talk about how it's difficult to find good
You
work, good
know,
staff. Yeah.
Nowadays we're in a society of that they expect to get this. Most people are, and without experience and without knowing exactly how the forefront's going to be, it's hard to keep those kind of people, because they don't see the big picture. And the people that see the big picture are like, oh my gosh, we can evolve this so much. So that's always been the growing pains behind all the businesses, that they don't see the future. And it takes a unique person to see the future. And it might take 2 or 3 months, but you can tell usually within a 2 week basis if a person is going to be in it to win it, or they're just going to be like, oh, I just need a paycheck. And for us, that was the hardest piece of it, is how to scale it to find the new people. And you have to pay your people the right way, but nowadays people expect it up front, but no, you have to actually earn it. And if you don't earn it, it's just one of those things. And that was a big growing pain for us.
Interesting. So are you, how are you bringing people into that fold, right? What's going on in that 2 or 3 months on your end and on their end, as far as figuring out whether this is a good fit, figuring out whether they're buying into this vision, this long-term kind of project here? What are
I
you
make
looking
them,
for?
in the companies we're with, I give them a piece. So if, I give them a dream and a hope, right? But a dream and a hope can become a reality, and you have to make that reality yourself. And what I tell them is, if you run this as yours, you never know, it might be yours. And we can sign an agreement stating, if you reach these numbers, here's a percentage of this company. And I'm a big proponent of giving back to our employees. And I don't like calling employees, I call them all partners, because in reality, we're growing something all together. And if they'll stay with it and they see it, they're going to make it theirs. Like, when I'm talking with insurance agents in the office, it's all about that they're an agent. They're the ones, my name's on the door, but that's their clients. They're the ones that are keeping up with them, and they're getting, money in the back end as well to keep it up. And that's exactly what we do with other companies. If there's a renewal base, or there's more money to be made because they're paying bills, or it's a renewal based system, then they're going to be able to earn because of how many people they bring in, because I'm making it seem like it's theirs as well.
Interesting. Yeah. So it definitely seems like with this generation, it's got to be about more than just a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Somehow employers have to figure out a way to make it more about more than just a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that is really what's differentiating these companies that continue to complain about not being able to find good workers, and the ones that are talking about building teams, building partnerships, that are really out there thriving, and instead of just surviving, it sounds like.
Right. And it takes time, it takes time to evolve people. And if you can match the skill sets with the people, for that company altogether, it works out. And if it doesn't, it's just one of those things, it's a learning curve, and you just keep moving on. And that just comes in business. That's the type of expenses and money that you're going to spend to try to get where you're going.
Gotcha. Awesome. So how'd you get started in insurance? Like what led you into this field?
Yeah, I came straight from school into State Farm. So State Farm was my first initial, like, hey, hoorah, here we go. And I was gonna become a State Farm agent, but in Florida, or in the market that we're in, it just didn't fit right with how I wanted to do business, especially with the marketing piece of it and all that. So then I went independent with it, and it was the best choice I could have made, because I can offer more than just one source, to our clients, and make sure that they're happy no matter what happens. Man, you have to have it. So I'm a person that believes in, what's always going to be there, and insurance is always going to be there. It's just how you do it different than others, and how you retain, how you keep people happy. So, and it challenged me. Like some jobs that I had before, it was just a job. It was never a career, and I was looking for a career. And when you challenge me and challenge my mind to learn certain things, and I'm learning every single day. And that was just the insurance piece of it. It's pretty boring, but there's so much to learn out of it.
Yeah. And it sounds like it went from being just a career to being a business that's now turned into a conglomerate almost.
Yes. Yeah.
Of
it opened a lot of doors.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So you said you went from going with this company to going independent, and that makes it to where you can provide better value to your clients. On the consumer side, what's the difference to me as opposed to going somebody with a company's name on their building versus their name on the building?
At the end of the day, insurance companies are insurance companies. You file a claim, either it gets declined or it doesn't get declined, it goes through it. The name is a name because it has a lot of money behind it. And in most cases, it's about branding. Certain companies know how to brand themselves a lot better. But in a society that we're in now, especially in Florida, there's not a company that's going to go out of business without the state of Florida actually, stepping into it and saying, hey, this is not going to happen this way. This is going to go this way. So, picking certain companies, some companies have better financial background than others. But at the end of the day, your claims or your promises are going to be paid out if it's done by the guidelines that those companies, request of. So, at the end of the day, what people are buying the extra cost for, it's just the branding, the commercials, the tickets, the commercials on, when they're doing football games, stuff like that. So that's pretty much what you're buying whenever you're buying the higher brand. And, when it comes down to the end product, it's insurance. It's going to be there for you.
Interesting. So I'm just paying for those slick Super Bowl commercials, really.
That's it. I'm telling you.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. So we talked a little bit about, bringing on, employees or staff or partners or however you're talking about that, and that being one of the sort of ongoing challenges that business are having. What other challenges have you faced in business, and how have you dealt with those challenges and overcome them?
In my business, it's a very it's cyclical because rates go up and down, especially with the different insurance companies. But it's a very saturated field. There's a lot of insurance agents, and my biggest competition has always been myself because I always wanted to be better than everybody else. But at the same time, there was competition there. There still is competition there because it's brands that put more money behind their companies or their agencies. And one of our biggest problems, not even problems, more like you just said it. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. Our issues, I guess you would say, it was the growing pains of doing business a certain way and then having to bring new people in. That was the hardest piece of it. Business is not hard if you do it the right way, but growing it is where the growing pains come into place. And I think that for us was the number one problem that we have.
It seems like a lot of small businesses hit that inflection point where, you can keep going like this forever, right?
Yep.
But if you want anything more than this, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of commitment, and a lot of, like you said, dealing with bringing people in that maybe they don't fit, maybe they don't buy into the program. And so you've got to figure out who's actually the right fit. And it's going to take a long time to get over that hump into where you can get into that growth mode for sure.
Yeah. And I think the biggest problem too with business owners is that you do it a certain way and you expect other people to do it like you, but they don't. And then you're like, oh my gosh, no, like you should do it this way. So giving it up or giving that power to somebody else, that just creates another, wave. And it goes with trust. And it took me 2.5 years to let go. And once I did, it just skyrocketed.
What made that difference for you? What clicked after 2 years?
I read a book. And the book was called, oh my gosh, where is that book? Let me see if I can find that book somewhere here. And it taught me of how to, like in the beginning of the conversation, of how, you gotta be able to engineer, or you're the engineer and show people different ways. Let me find that book for you real quick here.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me 1 second.
This is not the first interview I've done where somebody's mentioned a book but not been able to think of it.
The one that I read was the E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
And that by itself just caused me to look at my business all together, and I was like, man, I'm just doing too much. And you got to let it go. And once I did that, it took me 2-3 months to get behind it. And it just completely changed the game of how we were doing business at that point. And that's how I was able to design different teams because of that state of mind.
The E-Myth is incredibly popular in the accounting field because a lot of what he says in that book about, developing those processes, developing those workflows so that, and making them very clear and detailed so that virtually anybody with just a basic knowledge of that field can fill that seat, can fill that role, can do that work. And so it frees you up, as
exactly
to go do the things you need to be doing as the owner. You need to be bringing, bigger, better, higher paying clients in. You need to be out there making a good name for the business. You don't need to be sitting there doing the day-to-day grunt work.
Right. Exactly. And that was the hard part because, it was my baby. Like I built it from scratch, from zero. And to give it up like that was the hardest piece of it altogether.
But you say give it up, and in a way it is, right? But then in a way it really is opening the door to expanding, to moving this thing forward. Otherwise you'll just be stuck there forever, right? Otherwise,
very true.
Yeah. I mean,
very true.
It's hard because I think I'm starting to get to that point too, to where I work really hard to do my clients' tax returns. I work really hard to do my clients' bookkeeping. I work really hard to do these things for my clients. And to the point at which if I want more clients, or if I want to offer more services to my existing clients, I can't keep up with that. That doesn't scale, but so there's still things that I can do of high value for my clients if I figure out a way to free up time from doing these lower value tasks and that kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Very true.
Absolutely. Good deal. So anybody out there that's, thinking about getting started in the insurance field, or I guess, any of these other fields you've talked about, marketing, CRM, what's something common among these different businesses that you've started that if somebody wanted to jump into one of these fields, what would you recommend to them?
For the insurance piece of it, I see a lot of the agents that want to cut the corners and give their money to these big organizations that take a percentage from, their commissions and upfront commissions and so forth. For me, I don't like to have people in my pocket. And, on the insurance piece, work for somebody that can give you something like that can give you access, or just start from the bottom up. It's going to take some time, but you're not in business to make money the first year. And if you do make money your first year, great, so be it. But experience the grind, but from being from the bottom up. That's kind of what I did. I went from being zero to what we are now, and it took me a good amount of time. But it makes me say thank you to that, because I did the work, and I don't have anybody else in my pocket. On the marketing piece of it, if you're good at marketing, there's certain niches you go after. When I'm talking to you, I'm telling you, I do marketing for these industries, right? I could do marketing for a bunch of other industries, but I'm going to stay in my lane, something that I already know. And most people like to go here, go there. No, pick one thing and stick with it and run with it. For the CRM system, I can't tell you that. That's something that you have to flow into. But the security alarm system stuff, everybody can do it. They get certified. Start from the bottom up, and you can offer the same exact services. You just have to have a team that's able to sell for you. But when everything comes down to it, if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to work for yourself, is start from the bottom up. Don't try to cut a corner, and work. And if you try to cut a corner, it's going to leave something behind, or you're going to leave something out that was very important for you to learn, and it's going to affect you in the long run.
Experience the grind. I think I'm going to have to steal that one from you. I like that. I like that line. I like that line. Yeah, for sure. No, I can definitely relate because, well, let me ask you this first. When you decided to go on your own, did you have a mentor, an advisor, somebody in the field helping you with that transition, or did you just do it on your own?
It's always good to have mentors, and I mentor people all the time. I'm also a coach as well for insurance agents. But if you're going to have a mentor, like my mentor was not in the insurance field, but he was great at business. And, I came to him because I worked for the company that I was telling you about. I worked for them for 5-6 years, and I always went to him every year. Like, I'm ready. I want to go. And then he had pinpoints like that. He asked me like, hey, you're doing this, you're doing this, you have this, you have that. And I said, no. And he would say, no to me. And then 2015 comes around and he's like, you're ready. You're good to go. So don't jump into something just because you see somebody else doing it and think it's going to be just, hey, I'm ready for it. No, have somebody tell you the truth. I can't go to my parents and I can't go to my family because every single one of them they're going to say, yeah, you're good, you're fine. No, have somebody that's going to tell you no. And mentor. I have a couple of them, but one in specific, and he's pretty big in Jacksonville. And he told me how it was, and I 100% always thank him because he didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. He told me exactly what I needed to hear.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah. I got lucky getting a mentor right when I was deciding to come into accounting, and, that's been a great relationship, one that I still have, a few years later. And anytime somebody comes to me thinking about starting a business or thinking about going into a new field, that's always my first question, right? Do you have a mentor, right? Because that makes that you can do it without one, right? You can try it, but that makes that transition so much easier. And now, like you said, it puts you in a place where, because you've had that mentorship and that advisor, you now know what it takes to do that for other people. And so you can start bringing up the next generation of people in that profession.
Yeah, it's a great thing when somebody calls you a mentor and you give them the right advice. You could give me $1,000 or give me a compliment like that, and I'll take that compliment all day long because you're affecting somebody's life. Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. Yeah. No, I think mentorship is really underrated. It seems counterintuitive with this entrepreneurship kind of mentality that we have, right? Go out there and do it on your own, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but nobody does anything alone, right? You've always got people there, and you're absolutely right. Parents, friends, relatives, they're always going to be, your cheerleader, right? But sometimes you don't need a cheerleader. Sometimes you need somebody to tell you how it is.
Yep.
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Good deal. So this has been great. Anything else you want to put out there for entrepreneurs, people thinking about starting their own businesses, people running businesses for the last couple of years?
Yeah, one of the biggest things also, kind of flowing back with the mentorship is have a business plan and make sure you have it written down. Make sure you go step by step by step on, if you're ready or if you have the money or, the product that you're going to be there for, but have that business plan in force and follow it. Some people just write it and think, hey, I'm going to do this. And they go away from it, they veer away from it. You don't want to do that. Just stick with it and go. That's the biggest thing. And, anybody can start a business. I can start a business tomorrow by just saying a name and hey, this is what I do. I can do a coaching, but make sure you have a plan in force and, and make sure you have at least 5 or 6 people, an influence on you and saying, yes, you're ready or no, you're not ready. So
interesting. Yeah. I don't know about your business plan, but it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be one page where you just list out some basic, this is my target market. This is my ideal customer. This is how I'm going to make money. This is what I'm going to spend money on, and then you just try to stick to that plan as much as possible. And it's not that it's like a budget. I talk with people about budgeting sometimes. Don't see this budget as rules. Don't see this budget as something telling you what you can't spend your money on. Look at this budget as telling you what you can spend your money on, right? Like you are allowing yourself to go spend money on this. You're allowing yourself to go spend money on that. And I think a business plan is very similar. It's not saying that you can't be entrepreneurial. It's not saying that you can't go chase your dreams. It's saying that you've got a plan for how you're going to achieve that. And you're actually going to make those goals happen. You're actually going to follow through on that plan.
Yep. And something that stuck with me way back when, it was that laying the foundation. Think about a house. If you don't have a foundation, that thing's going to crumble. And so lay that foundation and you're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a hot housing market like this, where we see a lot of houses get thrown up in a month, and then you come back a year later after the inspection and you start seeing some of the flaws. And I think a lot of people's businesses are like that. There's another thing too that I'm noticing is that a lot of people might be really good at what they do, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're good at running that business. It's two different things, right? You're doing that work for the customers or the clients, but then you're also running a business. And just because you can do one doesn't necessarily mean you're good at the other.
Very true. And managing people is another different beast by itself.
Yeah, right. And then you bring on staff and it becomes a whole different operation.
There's a lot more that goes into it. So make sure you're ready for that.
Absolutely. Good deal. So Luis, it's been great. If listeners want to get a hold of you, ask some more questions, or just find out more about you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Yeah,
they can email our office. It's info@Aleman, ALEMAN, insurance.com. Or you can call my office. It's 904-337-3379. We're located in the center of Jacksonville, which is San Marco. And it's 1400 Prudential Drive, Suite 2. And zip code is 32207.
Good deal.
If you guys want to talk about anything other than just insurance, you just call me, talk to me, and we'll work things out.
Good deal. Awesome. We'll make sure to get all that in the show notes and the description for the episode. Luis, thank you so much. This has been great. I think there's a ton of good stuff here and probably some stuff I'm going to have to follow up with you on in a later episode. But, really happy to see that you've been able not to just succeed in one business, but that you're bringing that on into multiple businesses and bringing people into that with you as well. So for those of you out there starting your businesses, don't just be thinking about yourself, be thinking about how you can use that business to help other people as well and bring other people into the field also. Good deal. I am Jeremy Wells, host of the J Wells CFO Show. Again, Luis, thank you so much. Thank you to the listeners and the watchers here. Subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to let us know how we're doing. All the notes will be in the show notes or the description. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.